And we're back, baby. Welcome to Derry, episode 3. Let's get right into it. It's 1908, and we're at a traveling circus with all kinds of games and freak show attractions, like a man-ape, mermaid, or skeleton man. The carnival barker approaches a young boy named Francis and nudges him inside as he laughs. In the background, we see Pennywise sitting at his trailer with some balloons. Inside, he sees all kinds of anomalies, including 2 Siamese twins that look mysteriously similar to the 2 girls that are in The Shining. Maybe? Suddenly the music stops, and the skeleton man tells him to come closer as he struggles to speak. He slowly moves closer before being scared by the man, and he runs out as quickly as he can. As soon as he gets outside, he runs into his father, who calls him a sissy and gives him a slingshot. Then we get a closer look at what we thought was Pennywise, but it turns out to just be a girl dressed up as a clown. Or is it? On the way home, the car overheats, and Francis trades the slingshot he just got for a jar of water because he doesn't have enough money. The next day, he's playing with the same kids he bought the jar of water from. The girl is chasing him as he runs into the woods. She stops and yells and tells him to get out of there and come back, but he keeps going. All of a sudden, it gets quiet, and he looks around, and he's kind of lost. All of a sudden, we see that skeleton man peeking out from behind the trees at him. Very similar to how Pennywise was doing to Lily in the grocery store. He loves poking out around corners. He keeps getting closer and closer until eventually he's right in front of him. Francis screams, runs between his legs, and takes off as fast as he can. The skeleton man chases him, but as he runs, he starts to grow, and his legs seem like they get a little bit longer, and he starts to kind of flail, and next thing you know, he's on all fours, looking like a 4-legged spider chasing Francis. It's it. He gets cornered, and just before he's attacked, boom, it got struck in the head by something, and he looks to see the girl with the slingshot he gave her. She just saved his life with it. He gets up, and they're able to escape. At Juniper Hill, the head doctor speaks to Lily's mom about the medication he's given her, and says if she has another episode like she did in the grocery store, they might want to give her a more restrictive treatment plan, which sounds a whole lot like locking her inside Juniper Hill. Lily had opened up to the head of housekeeping while she was in Juniper Hill last summer. She tells her she feels guilty about what happened to Hank, but she's scared to tell the truth because she doesn't want to end up here again. She gets it, and the nurse validates her by saying, if you saw something you say is impossible, I believe you. And I feel like she's going to come back to play a part somehow because she is the only person who seems to believe Lily. Sheriff Bowers visits Hank in jail and offers him a ciggy. He says he can snuff out liars from a mile away, and he asks him again where he was the night of the theater massacre. Except now he says he has a witness that puts him there that night, and they found a pack of the cigarette brand he likes at the scene. Hank, of course, says he doesn't do it, because he didn't, and Bowers threatens to send him to Shawshank as he leaves. At school, Ronnie's locker is vandalized, and the entire hallway laughs at her as she tries to wipe off the lipstick. It was most likely the bitch-ass patty cakes. Lily brings her rubbing alcohol from the nurse's office to help her clean up, but she's still pissed at her and says she should whoop her ass for what she did to her dad. Lily tells her about the grocery store incident and how she got sent back to Juniper Hill. Nobody's gonna believe her now if she tries to tell the truth, so they have to get some proof, and Lily's plan is to take pictures. Ronnie agrees, but they need someone to develop them. They can't just take him to a store. At the airbase, Shaw and Fuller discuss the caddy they dug out of the ground, saying it's completely clean, nothing but bloodstains and bullet holes. However, it was giving off some kind of psychic energy because Howerin could find it. Fuller says it's part of the 1935 cycle, and it's from the Bradley Gang massacre. He says they were a bunch of Dillinger wannabes, and they got gunned down by the townspeople in what they call was a moment of madness, and witnesses reported seeing the entity in one of his forms. Hint to the intro. Shaw says they need to get Halloran closer to it, right on top of the target, which I think is probably the woods where it originally landed when he came to Earth. He says with Hanlon flying, he believes they'll be safe. He just needs something a little extra to help guide him. He says he has something that put a mark on that thing a long time ago, and he pulls a cigar box out from his desk. Hanlon and Russo are introduced to Halloran and told he's basically a human compass. You just listen to him and go wherever he says. In the chopper, Halloran has the cigar box in his hand, and Hanlon asks what's in it, to which Halloran replies, you wouldn't understand. But he opens it up, and it's the slingshot from earlier. He touches it and starts to shine. He tells them to go east. Back to the flashback. As soon as the kids get out of the woods, they stop running, turn around, and the girl tells them that they're safe now. It can't leave the woods. He asks for an explanation, and then we get a really cool transition to reveal that that little girl is Rose from the secondhand Rose store. She's in a meeting with the other natives about their ceremonial burial grounds being disturbed by the dig site, and it's supposed to be off limits. Rose is told they found Al Bradley's car from 1935 and they need to do something now before they get too close. She says he's not to get involved and they need him. Rose suggests filing a cease and desist to the group, which is received with groans. She tells him she doesn't want to stop what they're doing until she knows for sure what they're doing. Howerin is in a trance, groaning. Hanlon and Russo are worried because he's not responding. Russo says he's heard about people trying to use mind control on goats at Fort Bragg. The men who stare at goats. It's real. Howerin opens his eyes, he stands up and starts looking around. All of a sudden he's stepping in shallow water and a giant sewer door closes behind him. It's Pennywise's lair. He sees the trailer and then his door slams open. He looks inside and yellow eyes appear and we hear a deep voice ask, "Who are you?" Howerin has flashes of visions of war, soldiers dying, clowns, and I think some kind of masquerade party. When suddenly children's toys start falling down on top of him, he looks up to see a tower of belongings and floating bodies. One floats down to him. It's his grandma who also shined, and she warns him he's coming and you need to get out of here. He turns around to run, but the door is locked. He starts to twist the wheel trying to get out, but in the present, he's standing in the chopper and he's opening the back hatch of it. Hanlon wrestles to stop him, and after they both almost fall out, he tackles him to the ground. Howerin wakes up in a state of shock. Back at base, he's getting checked by medical when Shaw visits and asks if he saw it. Howerin replies, "More like it saw me, and it was cold." Shaw tells him if he needs anything, let him know, and he quickly asks for a safe place for him and his men to hang out and drink at, and Shaw says it's okay. Here comes the black spot, baby. As he turns to leave, Howerin warns him, saying it wasn't supposed to be able to see him or know he was even there, and he has a feeling if they keep this up, something really bad's gonna happen. They should just leave it be. Richie and Will hang out at the diner Lily's mom works at when Ronnie and Lily show up asking for their help developing film. He asks why, and they actually tell him the truth. Richie asks Will if he believes her, and he says he believes that she believes it. Richie says he loves Ronnie, Will denies it, and Richie admits he likes writing poems on the inside of his shoe so no one can find them. Back at the secondhand Rose store, Shaw visits Rose and we learn that he was the young boy in the beginning. It's been 50 years since they last saw each other. He says before he got here, he didn't even remember any of it. Her, the town, anything. And she says Derry has a funny way of doing that to people. The further you get away, the more your memory fades. Hell, he didn't even remember her name until he saw it on the cease and desist letter. He lies and says they're doing soil surveys, but her community is concerned they're going to disturb sacred remains. He asks for her help, and she says she'll talk to the council. Back in the flashback to them as kids again, Francis says that his dad got redeployment orders and they're leaving in the morning. Rose gives him the slingshot back, and he makes her promise never to forget him. Kind of funny, huh? Lily takes the group to the standpipe and they make a plan. They discuss their past experiences with it and how it pretends to be things it's not just to scare them. Richie calls it an Orisha. I think I said that right. Basically an evil spirit. His uncle was a Samhain priest, and when people owed him money, he would send spirits after him. And he says the really mean ones would appear as dead relatives to scare him the most.
And he was able to just conjure them?
Yeah, but he had to go to a cemetery, light candles. It was a whole big thing.
Dick Halloran arrives at the Hanlon house for dinner, and Barb reveals she used to be a teacher, but up here there's no jobs for her due to her race, and she's basically overqualified for anything she's offered. Dick asks where Will is, and while caught off guard, Leroy says he's at a friend's house. After dinner, they share a beer on the porch, and Dick compliments Barb's cooking. Hanlon asks him how he knew he has a son when he never told him, and Dick says he must have overheard it somewhere. He asks him about what happened today, and he explains the shine. It's like seeing things without really seeing things. Leroy says he's heard about people like that, but he's never seen it. He also says he felt something in the back of his brain right before Dick asked about his son, and it's the strangest thing he's ever felt, but it's not the first time he's felt it. He said he felt it the same night he was attacked, calling Dick out for being there, and tells him to stay out of his head. Halloran tells him while most people face death, they think about regrets and family, but not Leroy. He had a gun to his head and all he was doing was analyzing the situation and collecting information. It's like whatever part of his brain registered fear wasn't there. Wink. So he's definitely not the kind of guy that he would fuck with.
Oh, I sure wouldn't mind having you with me in them trenches.
At the cemetery, they light candles and set up just the way Richie remembers. Richie starts speaking Spanish, saying the prayer of the dead as they wait. Nothing's happening. Suddenly he gets up to pee, and they ask where he's going, but he says it's okay if he gets up as long as he comes right back. And they kind of figure out that he's full of shit and just made all of this up. He heard it secondhand from his cousin. Ronnie gets mad and Lily leaves with her. Richie and Will chase after them, and as they pass a statue, we see it turn and smile at him, which I'm pretty sure was supposed to be creepy, but it just made me laugh. Suddenly, the cemetery starts to warp. The exit gets further away. They pass Teddy's tombstone and it breaks. The ground begins to crack underneath them and behind them as they try to ride. They can all see it. All four of them. Up ahead, Richie sees his uncle as a ghost that swoops down at him, while Lily is chased by a ghost Teddy. She grabs her camera and snaps a picture of him, but the neck strap gets hooked on a tree and she loses it. Will is being chased by a giggling ghost Susie, and she makes him crash his bike and fall into a crypt. Ronnie doubles back to grab the camera and tries to take a picture of the ghost Susie, but is scared by ghost Teddy and drops it. Richie recovers it. Will gets up off the ground, grabs his bike and walks out of the crypt just as Richie flies by and drops the camera. Will bends over to pick it up and we see Pennywise scurry behind him inside the crypt. And for some reason, that's exactly where Will goes. He walks back into the crypt and we see Pennywise's hand appear on the wall. Will takes a picture before running out. He runs to Ronnie and says he should have believed her. They all hug it out. They head straight to the school and break into the photo lab. Will tells them how to set everything up. They start developing the pictures and it actually worked. They have pictures of Teddy and Susie. The last picture they develop is the one Will took in the crypt. It's blurry, but you can see that it has glowing eyes and it's a clown. Boom! Here it comes. Man, they drop so many little nuggets of information in every episode they do. It's crazy. I love just watching and trying to piece all this together. That's part of why I've tried to be so thorough in these and list as many details as possible, because you never know what's going to play an important part later. You know, that circus they start out at is the same circus that they talk about in, I think, chapter 2, where Bob Gray shows up, and that's when it originally takes the form of a clown. Because before that, he took all sorts of like bird and like scary things, like we're seeing the Skeleton Man. He takes these scary forms, and then it scares the shit out of the kids. And so he has to like chase them down, and he can't always catch them. And so he wants a form that is less scary, and he settles upon a clown. And I believe at this carnival is where he gets it from that girl that we saw. And also, why couldn't it leave the woods in the beginning? And she knew that. Like, what changed? Did them building a sewer system in the town give it like a pathway to move through? When they did the original Chud ritual, they failed and he somehow escaped and he could go further now? I don't know. I'm really curious to see what happens and what they probably do to mess it up to where he can like expand his territory and travel outside the woods, because he's not trapped in the woods anymore. So Fuller mentioned that they know the Bradley gang car is part of the 1935 cycle, which makes you wonder how much they know about the actual cycles. Like the way they say cycle, it makes it seem like they know that every 27 years it comes back and this and that, but like, do they know all that? So maybe we'll end up seeing more evidence inside that restricted hangar that gives us more information. In the meeting, I'm pretty sure the kid that Rose was talking to was the same kid that was taking the pictures in the first or second episode of the dig site. She has to warn him not to do anything with him and his friends because she needs him. What does she need him for? The way she said that seemed kind of important. Like maybe if they do the ritual of Chud, he's been trained in it, or maybe like his grandfather originally did it and passed down the tradition to him or something like that. But I think he has something to do with the ritual of Chud, and he's important. Now, when Halloran saw it and he was having those flashes of like war, military, and I think I saw like clowns or something, I slowed it down and tried to pay attention. There were like masks and stuff, like a masquerade ball. And this is probably a reach, but they have been hinting so much at Stephen King's other works through here, and Halloran is from The Shining. It makes you wonder if they're referring to the masquerade ball from The Shining. Like maybe it had something to do with that? Hey, Pennywise, is that you in the dog suit? It's crazy to say, but fuck, it would be cool if all these things were tied together as much as I would like to think they are, you know? Are the visions from his past or his future? We don't know if he's seeing things that he's already experienced or he might experience later on. Because like if it's the masquerade ball from the hotel, that's the future. But he's currently in the military, so maybe the war stuff was from the past, or it's also a look into the future. I don't know. I'm curious to see where it goes. I love this Halloran storyline. He is my favorite character. Okay, and now lastly, I can't believe the picture thing worked. I wasn't expecting them to develop the pictures and have it actually work. But once it did, my brain kind of shifted and I started thinking back to the older movies. And obviously, things happened and there was evidence present that adults couldn't see. When Bev was in the bathroom was covered in blood. The adults couldn't see that, even though it was very much there for her. And so I'm wondering if that's what's going to happen with the pictures. They're going to go show these pictures to somebody, and it's going to be an adult, obviously. They're going to show the pictures to someone, and they're not going to see it. And they're probably going to call her crazy, and poor Lily's probably going to end up in Juniper Hill again. So I'm very excited for the next episode, to say the least. Anyways, thank you guys so much for joining me on this recap. I appreciate each and every one of you. If you haven't yet, please like and subscribe. I really appreciate it. It's a big deal to me, and it helps my channel grow. I'll see you guys next week for episode 3. Thanks for watching.